I get a heli sits in Mpona ke phela ke liwane. Then I know ke itapelesa ke ne di chomi ke phela ke liwane. Hey motho o bereka di taverning. This guy o tla di orphanaging. This guy o phela o bolela too much. No re go bjana go tlo bona sorry. Ke na le di brass sack.
Yeah,
But wa ba o tlhalefa monna. Ke professor. Motho a re tla interview a tla apere short.
Yes. Conversation, it's like a short.
Yeah, o tla short ya tsene mola. Wa tla mo lebella monyatsa. You know, ba tla ba bolela wena veli. Are show me your friends, I'll tell who you are. Yeah, mara ke di brass sack.
Hey, I got home of
This were friends. This were my friends. More like sana le di chomi ba njikela. So at least le ba enka sorry. Wa mtswara. Na le ba na ba le bo cheap mun.
Yeah,
I'll tell you story na le ena re kopane kae.
I didn't tell me thing that's cheap. Where does it come from, man? Like
No, I think it would be best if you're not introduced.
Yeah.
Tla ba not introducing. A tlhalosa le re kopane kae.
Sure. I'll just throw it back to his hands.
All right, sure, my man. And thank you very much, guys, to actually bring me this site. Naki Lekalakala la mole chiki mukona nchiri kholo murula thoke poloke. Harodi le dibango.
Kokotla.
Ba geshu ba tswa mohlake ba tswa wa thabeng ya dikgolo tša garantwetwetwe ke batho ba gesho ke go ba tswa go gona antši ha ke kopana le Chippy, we talk about a whole lot of things, and some of them it's about our culture, who we are, and the type of people that we believe that we can become, not even being defined by where we are coming from. Ke kopane le Chippy Unisa. Chippy Unisa. At that time, I was coming out of a car accident.
Yes.
So I used to wear a high mobilization device because I had a neck fracture. So you were in a car accident, I had a neck fracture. And then at that time, I was doing my third postgrad, Lichibi. And I was also studying, I was doing two things at the same time. It was a postgrad, accounting, and I was also doing another postgrad, a body called SAIGA, South African Institute of Government Auditors. So I was doing them at the same time. So Chibi Kiko Panaliana, because I was a center of people who would be looking at me, because I'm one person, I refused to say I was in a car accident, then I must just sit at home. I just refused to that. I was in a car accident, so what? Life had to continue.
Yes.
So I couldn't wear even clothes properly, so I would wear things and they would be big here because that metal, the rod, it had to actually even cover my body. And the other part was more of a wool that I actually have to, it was something designed for me so that I can be able to wear. But I didn't care. I still went to study. I went to UNISA, so I would be studying like this. So, because I couldn't even bend, so I would be studying like this. So everyone would be looking at me and all, and not a lot of people would come to me. This one. This one just came. And he starts laughing and he just said, "Hey, Mona Chippy." So that is where now the name Chippy came from. I don't think Musa also knows about this story. And then from there, he says Chippy, and then he'll be, at the back, and I can't turn. So I have to, when I turn, the whole body must turn. And that is how we actually became friends, and the journey continued. Started there, and it then just continued. And it was all about education. Then it moved from there to a brother. Then it moved, a friend, then it moved to a brother, Then
Yeah.
Yeah,
I said it's but TP vele no joy.
yes. So that is where the name came from. And I think at that time also, it was a time in my life where I had to also, how do you go about to get into something like that type of an accident, you are in a disabled point, and but you get somebody who makes fun of that,
Yeah.
in a way of making you to see yourself or ufodile,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So then you laugh about it
Yeah.
also. So you becoming Robocop. So you get Robocop. So that is where the name come from.
That's a nice story. That's a nice way of describing how this name ATP came about. So we are here and we would like to welcome you where we actually having conversations to showcase that social and economic issues can
Yes.
coexist, right? But maybe before we dive deep into why you are here, maybe because you said the last time that we shouldn't just get right onto it when Zakwa says like, no, so please,
Okay.
who's behind KG? What's your name?
Where he saying why are mo?
Why are you here?
O nyakang mo. Ba bitsana ka tshomi batho ba dira yang gas. Ke cheap, but then it's koro so.
Who's this chief?
Yeah. It's a place called Pagaharankaila. It's a village not that much known, but a whole lot of really the rukulu tse dinnyane tša go ikoketša ka monkgo. So we're coming from such that small village called Pagaharankaila. If you know Charles Molapisi, Charles Molapisi, the CEO of MTN, comes from that side. I do hear Theo abolela hore na o tswa the side of Joburg, but Theo also grew up from our side, just not far away from Pagaharankaila. And there are other guys again who are in the aviation sector from the Metis side. They also come from Pagaharankaila. So I come from Disanteng. That's how we call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disanteng tsa Harankaila. And growing up, grew up from that side, then studied at Sgila, Mametlake High School. If you know Mametlake, I did my mathematics there. And passed quite well with distinctions. I do not consider myself but I consider myself as somebody who just worked very hard. And you got support from Kauchaye, to give you that particular support. Then from there, moving into your where I met Nsako, TUT, diploma, BTech. Then I moved to postgrad in accounting, postgrad in tax. I also attempted a master's in taxation, and then currently doing master's in developmental finance with Stellenbosch. I'm somebody who loves reading. I read a whole lot of books, Miles Monroe. I believe in developing oneself. I also I love reading, even still Tswana books. So I love reading. If you go high, you will get at my place. I have my own mini library. You'll have get books there. Yeah, and from there, in terms of career-wise, I started in internship, Department of Public Enterprises, the form, because I understand it's no longer there now.
Right.
Yeah, and then went to in a private sector for a year in Johannesburg. It was a hospital that I worked as a counselor at that site. I was an intern for internal auditing at Public Enterprises, and then went that site as a counselor. Then I went to the Auditor General, where I did as a trainee accountant at the Auditor General. And then still at the AG, became a supervisor at that site. The AG sitting on the side of external audit. Then I went to the aviation sector from there. In the aviation sector, I switched from external audit to internal audit. Then was doing internal auditing at that side. And from there, before it could go down as express. I then went to the National Skills Fund.
Yeah, it's good when you say before it went down.
Yeah.
Because if it went down, only thing.
No. Before it went
It's part of the problem.
Yeah, part of the problem.
before it went down. Yeah, I can say a lot, by the way, about the aviation sector, but because of time, because there was quite a whole lot that I'm of a view that government could have done, or according to my own view or opinion, to actually assist SA Express. Before I was about to register masters in the aviation sector also before leaving, then I switched to the National Skills Fund, deputy director in the National Skills Fund, and being a fund manager at the National Skills Fund. That is where I actually learned a whole lot about skill development. And if maybe it's a topic that we can also get into today, one could also contribute more on that, because in that particular space, you then learn about this country and why skill development, why sector education and training authority was important for this country. I was listening as you were talking to the grandson of Patrick Emir Lumumba, and I realized as he was engaging that he was speaking about my country, a country that is able to take care of someone who's coming out of this particular country, but still love from what we were engaging on. President Thabo Mbeki will talk about it as African Renaissance and the element of Pan-Africanism, how we as Africans could actually go to an extent of engaging and still supporting each other. When you look at SADC, when you look at all the programs that Africa has for its children. So what I study currently, developmental finance at Stellenbosch, it is from an African perspective or from an African context. So in my vocab, I do not have Ligrigamba, I don't have Lekwarekwane, I don't have all those. I don't have foreigner, I don't have those. I don't know borders. In my vocab, I don't have that. Because Africa with its history and Africa with its abilities, I must appreciate Stellenbosch for this particular cause, because it then had to let one understand and say, there are gaps, where can I fill them? So what I used to do at the National Skills Fund, because I left the National Skills Fund, what I used to do at the National Skills Fund was the skill development within our country, and where are the gaps? Where are gaps from the job market point of view? And what is it that we can actually respond to them? But before that, that's why I was saying South Africa, my country, the Constitution, Section 29 of the Constitution, then triggers an element of a right, triggers an element of training, triggers an element of education to everyone, and your sector education and training authorities or your post-school education and training sector itself or system responds to that particular Section 29 of the Constitution. And I was happy to be in there. I was happy to be there. Yeah, don't listen along, because I'll go on and on.
Look, I wanna divert Hanyani. When in your introduction you mentioned that one of the things that you do passionate how
Yes.
Can I challenge you to do one?
Okay.
Maybe a sibili or yours.
No, you're high.
No, I'll do one because ke le mopedi nka ira sa thulare. Yeah, because ke le mopedi maybe nka ira sa thulare. Ngwana khoshu bua mohlake o bua motlhoka marole. O bua motlhophi wa masibutla sa dimosiole mahlepa sana kaira le mabodu a tubatse. O bua phoko le phokwane, o bua majwe a matlapang ke o maya tshilwane. Thulare ke mauba ke merekere ka le botsa ke khoshi ke sepitla mangana ke sepitla mpa tsa mokolang ngwana phasha magaroleng. Ba re ba bua le botsa o totse motaka molomo. Ba re ba bua le botsa enge ke khumo e tshingwana. Nge ke se inuru sa ranguru a tsebele. Ore ke se itlhotlhedisa ra ka wa modishi wa dishashana. o re ka molamo wa tshipi a tlhatlogela leolo la tšhupa bogadi a mabetha a bokone o re ke tuka mollo ke ga ba go fiša maune maruteng a maseteng o re ke mpedi a mmata setlhabe ke mpedi a mphesolo ka motho tshekong mo sethogolong sa gabo a re ba gešo ba le mo ba gabo ba le mo ba re thu ba re phalagata a mangana mo go rago o tsogile mohlape thula re ke mauba ke morekere ka le botša ke kgoši ke sepitlang mangana ke ngwana kgoši wa sekhukhune sa malema wa kgoši wa mašila manyama wa mašila a gatiša ka lekopelo ke mma mosela matuba ke tsotsoboko a tšhoša ba re mosela o tlhatlha lephoka lephokeng ke tsotsoboko a tšhoša ke tsotsoboko a mmana ka lephateng ba re naka la gago lana la palela masole le šitile maburu ka lenareng a re re tetša ditšhila manyama ke mmadira di sena mosepelo a re mašile ke namane ra etetša mašile ke namane a mošitwana mašile ke namane e tšhingwana a ria
No, o gota smile ke gopela o be careful ko bodisa ka re batho ba batla mmo ba fana o ba control ka lebaka la gore ba tlo phala and taba o tlisa batho ba ba re phalang eno a se yona
Yeah, no, Tina, we learn best from Batsebang, I get it. So
it's important to know o fetsa o bolela hopola we are having these conversations trying to anchor a generation
yeah,
and we said we are the generation in the middle.
yes,
Ho na le ba ba banyane ba ba leng ko morao wa rena ba
Yes,
already look up to us. Then ho na le ba baholo ba ba tsebang gore kaone.
yes,
Even though you look more re leng mo teng, it's three generation. Even though we are one generation, mara o kgona ho bona gore ko wena ke nna ke ena
yeah.
in terms of experience.
So Section 29. Let's
Yes.
elaborate more on that, and then maybe we can just go back to what you were doing with National Development Skills Fund.
Yes.
So you're saying that everybody is entitled, or rather, banana right to go
Yes.
to school, right? And then the government needs to ensure that people develop skills. Do
Yes.
people know about this? And like in general, do people know about government being able to fund for them to go develop these skills?
Yeah, so as you rightfully said it, the Constitution as a supreme law or supreme act, which is available to everyone, it's available to everyone within the country. It highlights that particular point. I used to say this to some of my friends, Gary, one of the things that is the most painful thing is this element of us not getting into this reading thing.
Yeah.
Because go se ituti, go se bale, takes away a whole lot. You can actually sit at a particular point only to find that knowledge is just in front of you, but because of you're not perusing, you're not getting into it, you would not even know that which that you are entitled to have.
Yeah.
That is the most painful thing about this thing is that, and I'm very harsh to myself.
Yeah.
I know people talk about this thing of saying, no, I did not know. If only they would have told me, I would have known about it. If somebody could have been close to me to address it.
Yeah.
TV. No. Now I'm harsh to myself. I don't use all those words. Kagiso, you are ignorant.
Yeah.
That's how I put it. Kagiso, you are ignorant. And that word, Kagiso, ignorant, then pushes one to go and read. I'm saying this because I'm saying in constitution
Yes.
of this particular country, which is the most celebrated constitution in the world, by the way.
Yeah.
It's highlighting that particular fact of education as a right, education as education and training, and it does not even put an age there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about even it does not put
anyone
everyone.
Yeah.
So that particular section 29 of the Constitution, that is where you get the National Skill Development Plan being developed, which is ending now in 2030, where you will get medium-term strategic frameworks of government, which is now being changed to medium-term development plan, where you get the Skill Development Act coming into the place, where now you're getting your Skill Development Levies Act coming into the place, where you are having now your white paper for post-school education and training coming into this place, where you are having your national skills development plan coming into this place. Before that, they used to call it National Skill Development Strategy 1, Strategy 2, Strategy 3.
Right.
Right now, we are in 4, but they're calling it National Skill Development Plan. And all these documents, they are then saying any institution, whether you are a university, whether you are a TVET college, whether you are University of Technology, whether you are QCTO, whether you are a CETA, whether you are a National Skills Fund, whether you are a Department of Higher Education, all these institutions must then respond to that call that is in Section 29 of the Constitution. So to ensure that everyone receives training. One of the beautiful things, I don't know if you remember ABETS. We used to
Yes.
have ABETS. They
The night
used to
schools,
be,
ne?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they were, I might be mistaken, 3,000 something. Then they actually had to change, or they, according to the white paper for post-school education and training, to go become 9 CET colleges, which are being that are being funded also by government. And why CET colleges? CET colleges also because there are certain group that might not necessarily be able to go into the side of your universities.
Yeah.
Ke ba bagolo, ba bang, they might not be able to get into the TVET space.
Right.
You know, but then it opens for that. My mom got her matric, you know, going through the elements Albert,
Albert,
you
yeah.
know. So in South Africa, then you opened that for everyone. Whether people know about it, that is something else. Whether the higher education is working very hard for it, I'm not sure. But one thing that I can tell you is that nothing of the state is not public.
Sure, like you said, Guti, that I like the fact that you used yourself as an example of being ignorant, not to say
Yes.
people are ignorant.
Yes.
The previous conversation that we had,
Yeah.
it was about orphanages.
Yes.
So if there's such an act in place, are those kids also a part of the do they fall within the program? Because we identified in the conversation that there is no exit plan. What about those kids exiting? Can they be taken care of under this plan?
Section 28 of the Skill Development Act says to the National Skills Fund that you are having a mandate. That particular mandate, it is of project of national priority that are aligned to the medium term, to your National Skill Development Strategy, which is now the National Skill Development Plan. I'm not a spokesperson of NSF or DHET or what,
Yeah.
but these are public documents, you know, and I'm saying this as a citizen of this country that have also trained and built, and which I'm very much, I really appreciate that. So, so now when you read that, it says there must be a national skills fund in the country, establishment and all. So, which NSF from Department of Labor, Department of Higher Education, 2012 becoming a Schedule 3A entity, which is now a fully fledged public entity. When you, no, it's not yet fully fledged. And I know some other people will say, but KG, yes, is a public entity in terms of Schedule 3. I think there was a ministerial tax team that was talking about it so that it can have its own legal persona and have board and all, but it is an entity in terms of treasury regulations or PFMA. So in it then says those who are falling within sector education and training authorities, they are going to be served. When I say those companies, they contribute skill development levy. Their skill development levy will then have mandatory grants, discretionary grants, and those companies, they will actually, ensure that they do have annual training plans or work skills plans, and CETAs will then, through mandatory grants or discretionary grants, ensure that their people have been trained.
Yeah.
Of those particular companies.
Yes.
But then with discretionary grants, CETAs will also say to companies out there, be it NGOs,
Yeah.
be it a normal private company, are you doing training? Apply for training so that we can actually provide training for you.
So, Askis, before you go on, companies, right?
Yes.
They are there to make profit, right? So if they identify a certain group of people lacking skills. This fund, it doesn't limit as to what type of skills can be developed. So companies can go and apply for the fund.
Yeah, remember
is that what you're saying?
Remember the CETA Education and Training Authorities. They are also governed by their strat plan, their annual performance plans.
Yeah.
So their strat plan, the annual performance plans, the sectoral plans, they govern the CETAs as to what is it that the CETA must actually then fund. So the CETA will, in its annual performance plan, have developed in terms of strategy, relying on those documents that I was talking about, white paper, national skill development plan, national planning documents. They rely on those to develop targets, to develop performance indicators,
Yes.
which before the financial year or before they could actually enroll, they must also place these annual performance plans and strat plans to Parliament, to say, Parliament, this year I want to train so many people.
Yeah.
Train them where, why? So there are research that have been done.
Yes.
So when they then say apply, or they put it up there and say discretionary grant, they will write there, discretionary grant for what? So if I'm a CETA, I'm a construction CETA, I'll be telling those who are applying to say in terms of discretionary.
Okay.
Learnership or skills program in what?
Yes.
Because the CETAs, they have what they call as pivotal, or they have what one can say there is a national list of occupations in high demand. All those documents tells the CETAs as to say, what is it do we actually have to fill the gap?
Yeah.
Where do we have to fill the gap? So when you apply already being directed to say, we want to fill the gap in this particular area.
Yes.
Or I want placement of learners, your N6 learners who are coming from TVET colleges who are not having experiential training. Construction CETA will say, can you place learners so that they can get their diploma? Because you can't get a diploma until you get experiential training.
Yes.
So the company that does placement will apply and say, I can be that. Or can you train learners maybe for a skills program or occupational programs that deals with either, let's say, for instance, you are in the financial sector, you'll say maybe learners who can help people maybe to do, maybe let me take a simpler one, maybe in the engineering side to say, maybe, okay, let's take plumbing.
Yeah.
You can learners plumbing, but maybe a particular level, looking at the need maybe on the ground, maybe there's a need for that. People, when they apply already understanding the need based on what the CETAs have actually put forth within their APP and strat plan. And it's not only CETAs. Any entity of government out there have annual performance plan or strat plan which is being presented in Parliament. The CETAs and the National Skills Fund that are dealing with skills development, when they put the window for funding for people to apply, already they have put forth in terms of their annual performance plans and targets, where should you fill the gap?
Yeah.
So you don't come maybe applying for anything, unless if it's an unsolicited, something that is very much unique.
Yes.
Maybe you're doing robotics. Maybe you are training learners now on artificial intelligence, and it's something that maybe there have not been any RFP or request for proposal for such.
Yes.
Then you are having this particular unique thing, and you want to put it up. Or maybe you're in the aviation sector, and you want to teach learners on drone management, something that maybe there's no RFP or no solicited that is out there.
Yeah.
But then you are coming forth to say, I can teach learners on drone management, and 1-2-1-2 in terms of this is what QCTO has accredited me on. Because also when you apply, you must be an accredited institution.
I think that's where my question was going to come next.
Yeah, khopela ke a le utlwa la bolela ke re mara ba bolela kang ba bianong ne kura ai sa no dilo tse le di bolelang di teng.
Yes.
Dilo tse di bolelang di a etsahala mara o nna ke utlwile reng a ke le utlwile hai one ke re and then biano mo etsahala it's like you na go lana le ntsako go bolediwa batho ba tshwere di buka ke re okay so ke khopela le tiseng ko nna ke re wa hopola le nako ke kopana le wena o bala de o bala ka hona na be ke se di jokes pila le tsa bo dikolo ya o to mara in this case na ke ngwana wa tlang orphanage.
Yeah.
as orphanage fela.
Yeah.
Ke tlhoka the opportunity, right? Batswadi ha ba kgone ho patela school fees.
Yes.
Ke child headed ke ngwana le one ke motswadi ebile ke ngwana. And matric ko passitse and bilang because of re ko sekolong re ela o ja ba bang na be re ela o dlala di ali di zwepe go re be re noela wa bona and then pass matric kutlu ba re boditso hore education is the key and education e nna ke bona fela matric after matric bo university they are far from me ke one again
Yes.
which is a person le ngwana two ona le batho anchors se ba re ke MPC ona le di anchors ona le people who are saying nna dilo tse tsa sekolo ke nya go thusa di community di opportunity ke eng di step ke eng ke a utlwa di sita di what di insurance sita so tsotlhe tse di teng di sita but it's like information that is available hona a ke nya go William you are ignorant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard that story.
Which yes, ki ignorant because of there are certain things so Lawrence wants to and hence we're having this conversation.
Yes.
And the opportunity for both individuals and organizations and processes. But khopela o itlise ko leveling ya rena. Assembly.
Aska isa go dibukeng.
O tlalefile motho o tlalefile kudu ana bolela eng a bolela eng ene ke chomi yaka so show me your friends I'll tell you who you are you know na ke tlalefile mo bari wa tswa bari ya botlhale a o utlwisise gore mara o tlalefetseng o bana ba re bana ba tlalefileng ba raloka bo botlhe ba re hola o tlalefetse thuko o go la o tlalefela thuko.
So if I'm to bring it home, based on what you have asked, from individuals, which is something maybe we might say, but KG, there are bursaries that are there. So and SETAs also give bursaries to individuals, by the way. Because we are talking from the space that I've been in. National Skills Fund does give bursaries also, though those bursaries, they will then go straight to either NSFAS or to universities to help vulnerable groups or people like, just like me, my bursary was the bursary coming from FACET that I actually got. So the bursaries are there to assist. But I think what maybe anchors could also do, because anchors plays a very key role, maybe as a middleman.
Thank you. At least na le motho a bona mogola re.
Anchors could try to have maybe that leg of getting this information nearer, you know. There are not a lot of Kagisos out there who will be hatched to themselves and say, I'm ignorant, and try to go and become inquisitive. Anchors could try to bring this information closer to the learners, so that while they're doing their grade 11, they could start even applying from there. There are other institutions, state-owned entities that are also giving bursaries. I know of Nexa, which is here in Sosha. Nexa also have bursaries also on their side that they are also giving. So all those windows open, like for bursaries, do people know about them? Anchors maybe could play that role to just bring that information, and maybe anchors could play a role not only for the Kingdom home, but also maybe for the other homes, just to bring that information that everyone. You are becoming more specific to say, you know what, anchors wants to also help. We are not closing doors for others, but so that they could also get bursaries. Even companies, I have one gentleman who said to me, KG, only if I can get an NPC that is well managed, for my own legacy and all, I could put up money there so that learners could actually be able to be trained or go and get bursaries. Grade 8, grade 11, grade 12, if I'm told that, you know what, there's a bursary for you already, I'm sure that that will help. That is for individuals.
Yeah.
For companies, the companies that register with the SETAs register with QCTO, Quality Council for Trade and Occupations, for occupational programs or for accreditations. Those companies will then play a critical role because they are becoming vehicles of government.
Yeah.
So National Skills Fund looks for, if you go to QCTO website, you'll get a particular section that deals with a skill development provider. That's what they are called, skill development providers. But these skill development providers must be registered as a training provider because you need to know that particular space, because you're becoming more or less the same as your university in a way, because it's a skill development provider, universities themselves in a way, or their institution of high learning, as others might want to correct me. But then NPC also can register as a skill development provider. QCTO is there, and the NPC will also have to play its role. You want to become a skill development provider, okay? Which skills do you want to actually go about and assist? NPC also could be in a position to say, you know what, I am going to make sure that I do an alumni type of an arrangement.
Yes.
Where everyone, those that you spoke about, Shipi, to say they are urkant and they have been coming from the home, everyone could come there and also play a role in encouraging the young ones or even in contributing. I mean, how alumni works out there, you'll find that some they will contribute, towards others. NCAS can do that in terms of that alumni, and you can call it an alumni program. And then NCAS could also register as a skill development provider, and NCAS could also start. When you are a skill development provider, you can check. Okay, you know what? I have those who might not have matric. I have those who have matric. I have those who have maybe a diploma, and then start to say, okay, for different types of levels, I will do skills program that is a skills program that is credit bearing, which is your 5 days type,
Yes.
or I will do a skills program that is credit bearing, which is 60 credits, which is maybe 3 months, and then from there I'll move the very same group. I'll move with it from a skills program and then go towards a learnership, with those. And then others, NCAS could say, these ones they are having their diplomas, but then I think maybe let's assist them with an apprenticeship. And maybe NCAS could come and build a training center, which will be an artisanal development training center, where all the learners coming from. And remember, when NCAS have done that, and it's a registered skill development provider, NCAS will also be able to apply to National Skills Fund. NCAS will be able to apply to the SETAs, any of the SETAs, but there's something that you spoke about, exit strategy. So I imagine NCAS, with all the homes that are out there, NCAS being in a position to say that, you know what, let's first take the learners, maybe what Mr. Lumumba was saying. When they reach that point of 18 and they are about to go out, maybe NCAS comes in, to say, instead of they go out and they become more vulnerable again, NCAS could then say, no, we will give them a skills program.
And
that skills program will help them first, something that is more social related first. Because that's another thing. We take Kagiso straight, mechanical engineering and what, but Kagiso had went through a whole lot of social ills and is not even able to cope. So maybe NCAS could actually start skills programs that are more looking from a social related point of view.
Right.
They develop, and then from there you can move from that to others. So I think I answered.
No, you did answer. Right now we are here for advisory, coaching, and consulting. At the same time, we relate to this gap between. So there's two things. There's communities which came out, right?
Yeah.
And then there's government, there's companies, but there's no one who's facilitating facilitation, who understand all these worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is Herilimo now re na le Lekalakala shwena.
Yeah.
Cheap ya di cheap. He understand government. O kare ke government e tsamaya ebile ke library e tsamaya ka maoto. Why what? Yeah. So I think just for that clarity, we will find our yes. But we want to play more in this advisory and this coaching and consulting and addressing this issue.
Yeah.
Because imagine with this knowledge and then reload compete and that's what they do, fella.
Yeah. I'm also actually curious, KG. Is there like a consumer, I don't know, a consumer education government thing? Because you said, well, I can be sitting here, book, but I will never open that book and understand it. Is the government actually coming to meet people halfway, trying to explain these constitutions?
All the entities of government, through their websites, through their communication unit, because they're having communication departments within each and every entity. So some of them, they're having their stakeholder engagement methods that they use to engage with the public. Some they do imbizos. I know National Skills Authority, they will do an imbizo and people will come and so that they can engage. Some of them, they also do some of this awareness in terms of the career guidances, even in the schools, they do them. I remember one of the things that was also said about the National Skills Fund when I was still there was have the footprint in the 9 provinces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also municipalities. Just the integration and communication is not as effective as, we would all like. But somebody can come and argue and say, but KG, just yesterday in your village, public protector was there. I mean, I was checking one of the, because I'm part of also some of the groups at home. I call them groups, but it's more of a community development, giving back type. Public protector was coming there to come and communicate talk to the community. But I'm sure there are some from my village who does not know about that.
Yeah.
You see?
Yes.
So it both sides. And also you have anchors and you'll have other guys that will also try to put it up there. But government is government of the people, by the people, for the very same people. So I'm quite sure that government will actually have to up their game more, so that information can be out there and people can consume and be able to be knowledgeable about what is happening out there. So I think there's still a room for that we can still do. But anchors and other companies, and with this podcast, I'm sure, we are putting it out there, and the public sector, government will be happy to hear that it was presented quite well, in terms of what they're doing.
And I was about to say that, Velo.
And sorry, the good part, you are no longer in government again.
No, I'm no longer
Thank you.
I'm
Government,
no longer-
we're
I'm no longer in
now
government.
To
government.
understand the little processes.
Yeah,
So
I'm no longer
with us, we can bring consumer education to the people, for the people, by the people. So I hear you say when you were still there. Where are you now? What are you busy with?
Okay, so then I registered masters because I want to also do PhD developmental finance. I think developmental finance it's a concept, or should I say it's one area also that considers what is it that we can still do to develop ourselves and look within. I'm not sure whether you are aware that most African countries, 20% to 25%, I think, of what comes out of the fiscals goes in servicing our sovereign debts.
Right.
If you can check how much is the voted funds or the percentage of voted funds into other essentials that are required, either be it health, transport, and check how much is it. So what is being highlighted is that much of that money that we pay to service our debt, if we were not having it, we could be taking it to develop ourselves, to develop the areas of education and other areas. So developmental finance comes and look at this particular matter in terms of what is it that we can still do and where can we focus. For instance, if you are to look at currently Africa, we look outside for foreign aid.
Yeah.
So with what is happening with this cutting of foreign aid, USA, Trump, and all that other stuff, it means now that because how much of foreign aid was compensating how much of sovereign debt payments that we are making out of the fiscals, money that we are taking out of the fiscals, how much of it? What are other avenues out there that we could actually use to develop the continent? When you're looking at the issue of free trade, Africa free trade that they
Yeah.
talk about,
Yes.
all of those have to deal with developmental finance
KG,
in its nature.
before you continue, I'm curious, right? And I'm sure somebody sitting at home might
Yeah.
also be curious like me. You look at Africa, and I'm gonna bring
Yes.
your Pan Africanism out
Yes.
now. We have everything that we could possibly need. How then did we end up becoming I don't know, being in debt because from other countries? Why do we need aid from other countries when we have everything that we need here?
Yeah. So it's complex, Moetabile, because others will look at it and say, if you listened to, I got it from Mr. Lumumba also, when did they get their independency? When did South Africa get its independency? When they got the independency, at what level, from an economic point of view, the education systems that we got, and what is it that we still needed assistance on? One of the critics that are also given also is that Africa needs to be industrialized, in
Right.
the industrialization of the African continent, and also purely based on the fact that you are having all these minerals,
Yes. Yes.
but the beneficiation to an extent of saying, yeah, do you own them? That's another element. Okay, we don't want to talk about nationalism and all these other elements,
Yeah.
but then, are they being processed within the country? Are we having machinery, equipments, the know-how?
Yeah. Yeah.
The marketing of them, finished products, are they done within the continent? So those are some of the elements that are affecting. One of my studies when I was doing that master's that I could not actually finalize of text was what they call it base erosion, profit shifting, or transfer pricing, which are now other issues. Now you are having those companies
Yeah.
that comes. They're calling them. We call them direct. Direct foreign investments. So companies come into our country. Well, we appreciate that. We know they are here.
Yes.
There are a lot of things that we're gonna get out of that.
Yes.
But then they tend to go into what they call as profit shifting or base erosion profit shifting, to an extent where we are unable even to tax them in terms of what they would have extracted. The profits they tend to then now, through transfer pricing elements, move out of our country. At the end, you are having less into your fiscals that you'll be getting out of the taxes of the very same companies. So there are a whole lot of dynamics that are involved,
Yeah.
which we see what Taure is doing
Yes.
currently right
Yes.
now in Burkina
Yes.
Faso. We see also what South Africa is also trying to do, and other African countries trying to. Because another thing, Africa is also affected by the issues of civil war.
Yes.
I can say a lot about civil wars. Where do they come from? How do they go about? Africa also struggles in terms of the issues of leadership within the African continent. To an extent where certain contracts are entered into, or certain treaties are entered into, that tends to disadvantage the people themselves, or elitist mindset where the elites are the ones who get into contracts that are not necessarily benefiting the country but benefiting them.
Right.
So we are having all those challenges that then makes the continent as rich as it is. That is why developmental finance also looks into areas of that particular nature. That is why we are having what they call as developmental banks, developmental institutions,
Right.
to also try to see how can we go about to develop our country. But to answer also the other question that you asked, while studying, I got a lot of calls of, can you please assist with that? Can you please assist with that? I decided, you know what, maybe let me also register a company,
Yeah.
which then also works into the space of education and training, but then more consulting, more project management, more financial related matters that the companies will be having challenges on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the name of the company is Hatua. It's coming from a Swahili name that means step forth into the future in terms of education and technology. And why Swahili? It was one of those elements of Pan-Africanism also.
I know it.
Swahili is the most spoken language. And also we wanted also to, Hatau wanted to have that element of saying, we the people, we as Africans, we as sons and daughters of the soil, we should also continue to ensure that education, as Mr. Lumumba also highlighted, it is not something that we speak of, but we also channel it. You know, Anchor's calling me today here is one of those elements of saying that let's go and give back, but let's also go and ensure that we are assisting in the space of education and training. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also being requested. I'll be in University of Cape Town. It's more tutoring. That they requested that one could also come that side, but I'll be more assisting those who are very good in financial modeling. At that side. So I'm a freelancer type, but Hatau or Hatua is there also that is keeping me busy.
Awesome. Not like no. It's like
wa bona no ke fila hore batho ba le ko government to kre ba I think this conversation it actually bring into circle of what we stand for. Beside what we do, there are three groups, which is community, government, and companies that need to have sit down and talk with these issues, and that's where our role, I think our role or gap or the role or where we play. But the question is, when Kagiso speaks, there are three things that we talk about. It's either finances, we are in financial industry, and it's either education. And with Treasure being here also, it's more about health, which is mental health.
Yes.
So I think we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no, a lot needs to be done.
Yeah, and I hope we are not just going to have conversation. Hatu, Swahili name Hatu what?
Yeah, Hatua.
Hatua. Can we then say, because I get anchors, we say we are doing advisory and what, then can we, knowing that we are having this conversation, can we then say you are an anchor, Luena, and let us also looking into the service level agreements, because we can't go there. Government
Yeah.
So the fiscals.
Understand
And understand and the sections.
Yes.
And have people who are gonna run these things, because at the end of the day, we are talking Monday, tomorrow, miracle.
Yeah. And you know, as you said, Hatua. You said Hatua is there to provide education, right? So, and he understands the Latina proper pillar. So we need to go in there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely be an honor for Hatua to also have that service level agreement, because I must say, with the role that you play, and that you have been playing, that is one role. I think maybe Hatua will also assist maybe one day to develop a proposal of some sort, and then invite those who are able to train, work together with anchors, and then, but more looking at those, if you look into the National Skills Fund, by the way, there are certain elements that are being highlighted there to say, what is this fund for? You'll see that it will say non-levy.
Yeah.
So if you are not a levy paying, meaning you are not aligned to a particular sector, because remember, a levy payer, we can talk about it as to how to do qualify and all, or vulnerable groups. So when you look into the performance indicators, for instance, of the National Skills Fund 2023-2024, you will see there will be education and training, learners funded for education and training, and then it will highlight there. Then it will say community skill development.
Yeah,
You know.
yes.
Then when you look at it, when they disaggregate, they'll highlight there to say churches, or they'll highlight to say non-profit organizations.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, if you have someone who can develop a proposal that respond to that particular indicator,
that they're
that particular
having.
target there,
Yes.
and then covers learners that are coming from,
Right.
orphanage homes or caregivers
Yes.
homes, I'm sure that the state will actually respond positively.
And Kaz is there, you are
You
there.
know.
We are definitely going to it. I want to take this opportunity, ne, and I know this is way out, out,
Okay.
right? It's about Africanism, right? Your Pan Africanism.
Okay.
But I want to close this conversation with understanding your vision, your view for Africa as a whole. Seeing that we've mentioned that banally debts from foreigners, foreign countries, how can we close that gap? And what is your vision for Africa as a whole?
Okay, my vision for Africa as a whole is actually a big question, but I'll try. It's so you got independence. We speak about liberations. We speak about political power, and you'll hear those who are wearing red berets talking about the economic, element, to say that in our lifetime, we also want this particular element, not only from a political power point of view, but the economic power point of view. So I will say that my what I saw in wish is for the youth of this particular continent, who can be in a position to consider themselves beyond the borders of the continent, and be in a position to make use of what the continent is trying to give in terms of their education. I mean, you look at Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, in terms of its literacy, education, and those brothers and sisters of mine are quite like this.
They're proper, yeah. And that's why they're able to come decide and teach.
So you look at and you say, but we can make use of that education. As you know, President Mbeki in Tanzania, I think, was talking about youth being able to bring themselves together and engage. These dialogues that we are hearing about, also now I was hearing about this national dialogue and all of this, the youth of the continent, if they come together, bring their A games, I'm quite sure that it can actually assist the continent. I mean, I look at myself with what I study and with what William is studying and all, but we bring this particular knowledge together, and we assist this particular continent of ours. The other one, it is the types of policies. Youth are not also participating, participate in terms of these policies that are being participate even in politics, by the way.
Yeah.
You can look at it and maybe demonize politics, but what matters is that the manner in which our country is, you through political parties, you are being presented. So participate also in terms of policies. I mean, there are some times where they will say there's a particular policy about, or even when they were talking about Section 25,
Yes.
very few people were participating in there. So participate, because the future is our future. The other element, I will say to the African leaders also, if they could be in a position to consider that which that will assist African countries to stand. What is that? There are certain economic hubs, I call them, that I'm of a view that if they could be considered. China is very much they are very much intentional in what they do. If you are coming up with a plan to say, I'm going to achieve this, achieve it. Have that plan and put people to account, ministers to account, deputy ministers to account, director generals to account. Let people account, so that when we say, I want to train 60,000, train 60,000. If they don't train 60,000, why? And if they are saying that no, and there are certain, even in higher education space, there are certain courses that are still being given there, But you find that all those courses, and I'm not belittling any course, but you find that you get this course, it have this output.
Yeah.
And that there's still more learners getting into that, but there's no employment.
They're not going anywhere, yeah.
Let's tackle the triple dilemma of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, and tackle it intentionally. Now, for me, with 10 rand, I can do a lot with it.
Yeah.
With 20 rand, cheap, you can do a lot with it.
Yeah.
But some people are having 1 million,
Yes.
but they are doing zero. with it.
No.
Well,
It's good to keep that F word out because I felt it.
And a million never will langa yona ra e kgopela.
But so that is the Africa invests I so wish one could actually be in. Even this thing of hating each other, that thing is not gonna help us.
Take us anywhere.
Yeah, and unifying ourselves, even with our other races. I don't want to become more like, when you say Pan-Africanism, we're talking about black people only,
Yeah.
Unifying, and let's work together and make our continent a better continent. Quick one.
Yes.
My part of what I want to look into in terms of my studies, for instance, in terms of developmental finance, is what they call it as debt swap.
Debt swap.
Yeah.
What
so
is
you look at right now, there's so much about climate change. There's so much of climate change. But then if you are to read, they will highlight to you to say that in terms of atmospheric appropriation, much of the damage that has been done in terms of climate change or emissions and all were not done by Africa.
Yes.
Africa, in terms of emissions, is less than 10%. It's quite less.
Yes.
Who did that? There are some people who have industrialized their economies, their countries, and it has been said in terms of the studies that the debt that the global north owes the African countries, it goes to trillions in terms of... I'm highlighting... I know this is something that is debatable, but it's there. The studies are there.
Yeah.
I'm highlighting, as you are asking, what is it that we should do? I'm saying, I'm a young person,
Yes.
and part of what I'm looking at is a debt swap. Instead of, we swap the debt. COP29, COP26 highlighted how much that the Westerns or countries, they then said, no, this is how much we are going to be paying in terms of ensuring that we, for issues of adaptation and mitigation of climate change, will pay so much, And African countries had to also come and say, we will also contribute so much.
Yeah.
So the scholars are like, why are we contributing so much? What did we do? That is why we're having just energy transition that we're doing in our country.
Yeah.
I know these are debatable issues, but what I'm trying to say in terms of that debt swap is to say, instead of we pay the sovereign debt, let's rather, because you are actually owing us. You are supposed to be giving me funding for adaptation and for mitigation. Rather, let me use the money that I was supposed to take it back to you for the visit. Let me do it for adaptation. When I'm doing it for adaptation, it will then develop because it will have a multiplier effect in terms of development.
I have a very good friend of mine, Genius, from Kenya. He's into those things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna organize when Ali and I were going to have meeting or about involve more. From my side, parting words. So based on time, as an individual, I stand for transformation, diversity, and inclusivity. And I was adopted by a man called Sylvester Tlangowan from Zim. Therefore, that makes me an African. And why, when Africa has issues, we always get aid outside? Why are we not having a non-profit organization, MPC, UNICEF, and all others? If there are issues, then we have an organization e loreng e tlo tla deal le di issue tseo. Understand it to address the issues tsa ka mo hae. We are not saying they shouldn't be involved. I think we are a global nation, but let's take accountability. And I think if we can tackle that from our age, those who will come after us, but look, something serious.
Yeah, yes. I wanna close there. G20 is coming, and to someone that doesn't know what G20 is and that has given up co-governmenting, what is your parting words to them?
All right, no, G20 is coming, yes. These organizations, if you are to look at them, just like you are having your African Union, or just like you are having BRICS, or just like you are having what they call it what? Asian. I'll forget, I'll remember the word properly, but then it's from the Asian side. But kimi tlhakano ya dinaga, you know, and di tlhakanang, so the South Africa, it will be taking its presidency in a way, leading
Yes.
in terms of this. I know next year it's
America.
going to America, but then now there are issues that are being put on the table that concerns not only Africa but the world at large. You know, I know the issues relating to climate change will be there. The issues relating to the African and the very same sovereign debt that we're talking about. President Matamela also highlighted about it. You know, and some of the issues are issues that they call as sustainable development goals.
Yes.
You know, those sustainable development goals, they will be considered. If you look at Africa Agenda 2063, it also has certain elements that talks to the sustainable development goals. Those, we are of a view that South Africa will also put it at the forefront with regards to those particular elements of that is sitting within the Africa Agenda 2063, and the role that also Global North or other countries could actually play within the continent also, because the continent also has some of the elements, some of the challenges, and we so desire that others could play a role within our country. So, but also maybe my last words, because I know if I talk, which is the most, you opened this yourselves.
Yeah.
That is the mistake you did. You know, one thing that I can say is to appreciate being invited to Anchors, and also being part of this international institution that will not only be within the borders of this country, but it will go even into the continent of Africa and play a critical role, and also serve into other, assist other institutions out there, and then also form part in terms of civil societies. Anchors will play a critical role, I'm quite sure there. So I really appreciate being this side. And one thing that I can say is that I'm one person who is a firm believer. I could be criticized, which is fine. I come from a theistic point of view of life. I also believe that essence precedes existence, not the other way around. I don't believe in existentialism, but I'm more of a person who is of a view that every person, every country, everyone has a potential. We are very much capable. There's just so much. I like what Chippy highlighted actually right now. Like part of what professors will highlight also in terms of my studies, that look within as Africa. You know, I like what was asked the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, that you seem to not worry about sanctions, because you are saying that sanctions help Russia to even survive when sanctions are there. You know, because of what Chippy was highlighting. Look within,
yeah,
and also become intentional. So even as an individual, you're watching as an individual, look within and be intentional. And Miles Monroe says, everyone has latent ability. Tap into it, you know. And if you then believe in that, John C. Maxwell then says, have a winning attitude.
Yes.
So when you have those types of mentalities, you can meet me and I'm wearing this, and you have a problem with it, and you feel like maybe I must feel sorry for myself, and I'm the happiest human being. You know, I look at today, and I already see myself having graduated my PhD. So what I'm trying to say is that I am at the steering wheel. I don't care of whoever that is saying anything out there. I wish that is an attitude that most people could have. You are at the steering wheel. It's not about what somebody else does. No, you are at the steering wheel and you drive it yourself. And when you are having the right mind or right mindset, you will achieve a whole lot. That's what I believe. And those are my parting shots.
Thank you so much. That was a mouthful.
Re tlisa batho mo.
You know, I saw a video. This is my parting words as well. Yeah, President Ramaphosa, where he was addressing other leaders to say, we can't be sitting here and talking and not acting. Let's go work. Can I then bring those words, share them with us and say, look, okay, let's not sit. Let's go work and come back and show the results. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Sure.